Hey everybody, Vicky here, the Words Lady, and it's Friday. I'm so glad to be here with you guys. And so many people have been asking me how I got this book of mine done in 4 days. The book that I wrote, Easy Writer, 10 Steps to Writing a Best-Selling Book that wows your reader and turns them into clients. I want to share 3 ways that I did it to make this book a reality in such a short time. So first of all, I had to shift me. I had to shift me. I am no different than you guys. I am short on time, have lots of things that I need to do in my business. I have a family that expects me to, oh my gosh, put dinner on the table, right? So I had to shift me. I had known I wanted to write a new book probably since spring, but it just never ended up being a priority, like ever. It just didn't happen. So I had to shift my readiness and give myself a real reason to get it done. Now, for me, there were a few things like I'm going out of town October 31st, and I kind of wanted it done and not hanging over me while I was away. I also had some new funnels that I wanted to create using the book, and because the book is written and titled after my Easy Writer signature program that helps people to write their bestsellers and get them out, I wanted to use this book as part of my promotions for the Easy Writer Live that's happening February the 4th. So I got the idea on Sunday and knew that it had to happen quickly. So then I declared it to everyone and committed to a launch date. So initially, I thought I would write it in a day, like I said, because I got the idea on Sunday. I knew that I had all of this inside of me that I could easily organize because, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But I was thinking, I'll just get it done on Sunday. I don't need that much time, but you only type so fast. That's all I have to say about that. So I gave myself instead a deadline of Wednesday and portioned out parts of my day to do it. So I knew I had certain business tasks that I had to get done, of course, running the household as well. I told my husbands and the kids about it, and literally they did not get fed until 8 p.m. for 3 days straight. And by the way, nobody was harmed, nobody died in this process. So it's kind of like my recent client, Karen Donaldson, did. She wrote her book, her third book, with me in 14 days. And she held that #1 bestseller spot for 7 days afterwards. So we committed, we chose a date for her launch. I actually tried to push her to do it in 10 days, and she'll tell you that I pushed her a little bit with that, but we set it for 14 days. We reverse engineered it and made it a non-negotiable. So my last book, Hit Publish, was actually written a year ago, actually around this time, and I wrote that in 10 days. So part of me wanted to set a new record too. So that was there as well. It was just a personal thing that I wanted to do that. And then lastly, the third thing was that I had an outline. It's the same simple structure we use in the Easy Writer program, which is mapped out for people to finish their book and launch it to bestseller in 60 days or less. So like in Karen's intensive, the purpose was to carve out the book, because sometimes you just need that kind of help. You need somebody to hold your hand. Like I said, this is my 10th book. I'm a book coach, so it's my process. It's a little different for me. And this book was structured slightly differently from my other books because I knew I wanted to add some real life examples of what my clients and what I had gone through and what things come up and how to get over those things. So I actually ended up adding parts at the end of every chapter called Coaching Chronicles. And I'm actually in love with that part. Yesterday I was at the NEA conference or meeting And they had asked me to do a topic that I love that I don't always get asked to talk about, but I mean, I do get asked to talk about, just not as frequently as the book writing. And it was about law of attraction. And you know, law of attraction is about like energies, attracting like energies, about your thoughts becoming things, about reprogramming some of those negatives into positives, and knowing that abundance and wealth and everything that you desire is available for you. And part of the Coaching Chronicles sections are really about those, how to attract this book into your life, how to attract those clients, how to attract what you want. And I just love the Coaching Chronicle part. So I wrote the chapters as well as best as they came to me. So if you noticed in some of my posts, I didn't write the chapters in order. I never do that. And many of my clients don't do that as well. You know, sometimes if you have a step-by-step process, you have to have your chapters in a certain order. Now, here's the thing. I always say, put your best chapter first, right? Do not, like in book writing, saving the best to last is not a good idea. You got to put your juiciest one there so they want to keep writing or keep reading. But when you're writing something that has a step-by-step process, which mine kind of had like a logical sequence to it, I laid it out that way. Okay, so I just wrote whichever ones ended up coming to me first. And midway through, I actually changed one of the chapter titles from what I originally had to Fostering a Bestseller Mindset. So you have to also be flexible with what you initially put down. And like, this was my written out like thing that I put together, like 2 pages front and back, just handwritten about how I wanted the chapters to flow. And then underneath it, you can see like there's little bullet points and stuff that each chapter I knew what I wanted to say. And even those things, sometimes when you put them down, get rearranged and put someplace else. And even the Coaching Chronicles, some of those I was like, okay, I'm going to put that here. And then I realized that, you know what, that actually goes best in the inside and outside Coaching Chronicles rather than the hit publish chronicles for that chapter. So be willing and flexible that even if you put something together that is not set in stone, and that you can create this in a way that works best for you, right? Now, one last thing I want to tell you. So these, let me go back for a second. These 3 things that I did. One was I shifted me, right? 2, I declared and committed to everyone about a launch date. And 3, I had an outline. Okay. And if you want to call it a mind map type of thing or whatever, call it whatever you want. And the last thing I want to tell you is quit telling yourself that there is this thing called writer's block. I remember Karen calling me and saying, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't even know. Nothing is coming to me. I'm having writer's block. And I'm like, I don't believe it. There's no such thing. You do not have writer's block because it doesn't exist. I don't know who created this thing about writer's block, but it doesn't exist. I talk about this in the book, but writer's block comes from one of 2 things or both: a lack of clarity about your book and what you want to say, or too much of a perfectionistic attitude that you can't do anything unless it's perfectly right. Like, if you fail, it might be the end of the world, so you don't want to put anything out at all in case it might be bad. Like, get over yourself, because perfectionism is getting in your way if that is your issue. You can talk. I know you can talk, so you can write. I do not believe there is a soul out there who can't write a book. You just have to change your urgency, your commitment, and your want to. And this is my 10th book, so please don't compare. I have a process down. Those who participate in my Easy Writer program, when we did it live, we did it in those 12 weeks, in those 12 modules, even including the seeding of the book to turn the reader into the client and executing the bestseller marketing strategy. You don't have to be like me, but if you want to get your book done, it takes a lot of getting out of your way. Okay, so I hope this has helped you to understand how you can get your book out. There are people waiting for you out there, waiting for you for your story. And I know if you're like any of my past clients, that your deep desire is to help somebody. And if you could just help one person in the world, it would be worth it. Even if you got negative feedback, even if you got ridiculed, even if nobody liked your story, if you could help one person, it'd be worth it, right? And take a stand for the and, right? And you can go out and help thousands upon thousands and millions of people with your book. But you have to have it out and you have to get it done.